July 23rd. Wait, is this camera? July 23rd, 12:25 a.m. Today, I did the usual. Went to the gym, all that good stuff. Posted my usual social media videos, and I got back into working on level 1.5 just a little bit. I think looking at how the archers work right now in the game, they are a little too slow, I think, in comparison. Like, they're very non-threatening on their own because you can kind of just run circles around them. So I think to make it a lot more fun and intense, I need to do two things. One is increase their pacing, increase the rate at which they fire at you, and then I think also make them very obviously telegraph when they shoot their arrows at you so that you can time your dodges and destroy the arrows. I might make it even kind of necessary to start using your dodge to be able to fight them. Like the fact that they shoot this stuff at you from a range really quickly, it might be more interesting that you have to always like dodge and then hit them to be able to take them out. That was a mechanic, an idea I had for how you would have to kill enemies in the third act of the game, but I'm thinking maybe not like all the way, maybe you don't need to use it all the time to be able to kill them, but if I just make it so it's like sometimes you have to do it, that could be enough. Either way, I need to tighten up the pacing on them, I think, to make it really fun to play against them. Right now it's kind of just feels like a lamer version of the gameplay from the first 4 levels, because you either get taken out by their arrow really fast and unexpectedly, or you are kind of running around and nothing's really happening. Like, there's no threat unless they shoot at you, and they take so long to shoot at you. So yeah, it just feels a little dull right now, but I have good ideas, I think, on tightening up the pace to make it fun to play against them. So anyway, that's what I'll be working on tomorrow. I've got my meeting with Astrolabe, guy from Astrolabe Games Publishing, tomorrow as well. Looking forward to seeing how that goes. I was thinking about this new style of shorts I've been talking about that I wanted to do for like TikTok videos and YouTube shorts and whatnot. And I think I'm gonna have to take like I'll probably have to spend a couple days or so working on it, because I want to really get the format for it down perfectly, of something really unique and interesting. I don't know if I went into detail about what my idea for this was on the previous video, but basically what I'm thinking is every day I'm going to think of some kind of philosophical topic, some thought for the day, if you will, an interesting quote or whatever happens to cross my mind, but not necessarily, or if not usually, ever related to the game. And then I'm thinking having like a cinematic shot of me, I don't know, maybe with this image in the background or something like that. I don't know, but some kind of cool cinematic shot. Actually, I had an idea of using my cool like neon colored light here when it's late at night and have like half my face lit up or something like that. I'm gonna experiment with it. But I was thinking something like that, and then a slow cinematic zoom on me while I'm speaking whatever little mini script I wrote for that day. And then after each sentence, it like cuts into this hard 2-3 second, not even 2-3 second, whatever, like half-second clip of brutal combat gameplay from my game. And then it cuts back to me, and then it continues the slow zoom, and I read the next sentence, and something like that. So like this weird, bizarre, surreal, cinematic type of thing that mixes this seemingly unrelated philosophical thing with the game itself. And I think it'll be intriguing. Like I said, I think it's weird enough that people will probably just be confused and won't get what this is the first time I start posting, and it probably won't get much of any kind of traction. Typical 200-300 TikTok views type of video. But I think if I like make it really good like that, and then I can consistently just make that every single day, I feel like that could pick up and it'd be something really unique and interesting and help me to focus in on what I'm trying to do with my long-term vision here. I did that podcast yesterday I mentioned, so that got posted. That was pretty cool to see. Yeah, not sure there's really much else to say for tonight. I was thinking just before I started making this video that I have a tendency to, how shall I put it, always explain myself. always over explaining. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So I'm not going to talk about why I'm up late tonight. I'm not going to tell you anything. Just don't worry about it. I'm in the groove. Just give me a moment, and we're never going to bring this up again. I'm just going to speak straightforwardly to the camera, and that's it. Also, the other thing I forgot to focus in on that I mentioned many videos ago is that part of this series of videos, the purpose of my little diary here as well, is to get me better at more comfortable at speaking publicly and fluently without tripping over my words, which I seem to be doing an all right job of right now. I think I was a little all over the place on the podcast, but that's okay. Mostly okay, though, I think. And the only other thing I wanted to talk about tonight was, now that I have started, I mentioned how I needed to lock in now, right? And I've been locking in, and I know what I got to do now. I know who I want to be and how I want to approach things. And I've noticed how, by focusing my mind on that and meditating on that throughout the day, how much better off I am already. I notice how sometimes when I have the impulse to indulge in one of my vices that I would usually use as a coping mechanism, if I'm feeling bad about something or just whatever, trying to distract myself, now in my mind I can kind of hear this voice that pops up that's like, why are you doing this? How is this who you want to be? Is this connected to what we're supposed to be doing right now? And by having that profound sense of focus, of understanding what's purposeful for me to do and what's useful for me to do versus not, and meditating on that intentionally throughout the day, it seems to automatically pop up when the moment strikes where I might be screwing myself over again. So I found it to be very helpful. And I think this is what it is that people find so useful about religion. See, normally, I think most people's religious experience is very superstitious, right? That they gave themselves up to God or Jesus or whatever, and they started praying a lot, and suddenly their life improved so much. And I'm sure that happens to people, but I think what it really is not per se like something magical happens. I think what it is just focusing in on that power that every human being has within themselves, the power of the consciousness to just focus yourself. And that when you meditate on that, and instead of trying to hide away from who you want to be, who you feel you're supposed to be, this ideal version of yourself, and instead you focus in on it and you challenge yourself to meditate on that it has an effect on you psychologically. And that is, and what I actually do, throughout the day when I am meditating on this stuff, it really is a kind of prayer. Except that for me, it's not so much... Well, it's funny. I was going to say it's not so much that I'm praying to God, help me to change to become the person I want to be. Literally speaking, though, I am. That is really the kind of prayer that I say. But in practical terms, what I'm really doing is trying to focus my mind on my behaviors, on how to change myself. And there's nothing superstitious about it. There's no, so to speak, man in the sky who intervenes and makes my brain do something different. I think it's me focusing upon myself that causes the brain to be able to change itself to move in that direction, to develop those new habits and that new way of thinking. And I was thinking today about a quote from my favorite philosopher, Soren Kierkegaard, who said that, or wrote more likely, something along the lines of, when you pray, when you're saying a prayer, you're not praying to change God's mind, you're praying to change the mind of the person who's praying. So that's how I feel about that. So anyway, yeah, I guess my point is just, it is extraordinarily helpful to focus in on whatever you're doing, even if you're not necessarily a religious person yourself or you're not sure what your beliefs are. I think that taking that time to meditate on what you feel and hear on the deepest level going inside of you, of what you think you're supposed to be and what you want to become, what your ideal version of yourself would be, is really a kind of prayer and the way to focus yourself into becoming that person. And I don't think any kind of This is a big part of my project, I think, is I really want to help people to disconnect the superstition from the aspects of religion and spirituality that are actually genuinely useful, and there's a profound reality to them. There is something concrete in them that is not dependent upon stories from thousands of years ago, and that's really the heart of these things. And it's not about the dogma that is inside of a lot of religion, the dogma, the superstition, the things that oftentimes give organized religion a bad reputation among people, especially who don't believe in it at all. So, yeah. I guess I just got to keep it up. I hope somebody hears this and maybe it helps them out. And also, there was when I was looking at my game, I forgot to mention, somebody commented on my last video about some kind of bug where you broke through the room onto the guy with the broken arm, which I'm assuming you're referring to Genyu, and then you got soft locked. Anyway, I looked into it and I wasn't able to replicate it, and I have no idea where in the game it's even possible to break through a door onto him. So I'm afraid I couldn't figure anything out about that. But if you happen to see this video, feel free to comment again if you have some clarifying details. I think that's all I got for now. Godspeed.